So the MLK Day of Service is an event, this was its third year running, and basically the community gets together to complete a series of community outreach tasks, from donating blood to tying blankets, making care packages that we send to troops overseas, and it's a really great way to live up to Martin Luther King's what he worked for his whole life of making the community a better place than where he found it.
So at the MLK Day of Service, we saw a community coming together to stand up for a man's ideas. This greatly benefited us all. What MLK represented is something that we still see today in our country.
Dr. King truly embodied service. I think the best way to remember him is through teaching our students here in Troy servant leadership and the importance of servant leadership.
It feels really good just knowing that there's something out there that you can do that's gonna help other people. And it's an event it's just really easy to come to. It's already organized for you, so you don't have to do much. You just have to show up and help.
We had families with young children. We had our city, federal, and state government leaders here.
One of the most amazing things that I saw at this event was the diversity in people that came. You know, we had people from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life just come together and just give back for a common cause. And I think that was one of the most amazing things. And that's one of the most amazing things about the city of Troy in itself, is that we have this opportunity to celebrate diversity with such an event. And that was just an amazing thing to witness.
For the care packages, this was actually surprising. So from our perspective, we package them and we send them over to the Middle East where the troops get to enjoy them. At least that's what we thought. But when one of the troops came back, they told us that for them, they take the packages and sometimes they go to the cities and give some of like the food and the items to the locals. And it's kind of interesting to see how our culture is mixing with cultures abroad and how these children, because of our actions, are getting a glimpse of our world that they may not otherwise have.
We had a lot of basic necessities that they would need. We had some socks, personal hygiene items, but also there was candy and letters that children and other attendees were writing for the troops.
We ended up with a lot of fleece, which is honestly so amazing, because just think of all the amazing kids who are gonna basically have a brand new blanket as kind of like a late Christmas present. Our box here at the IA was overflowing within 2 weeks that we'd asked for donations, so it's really cool. And actually a lot of the stuff that we do at our meetings is, as we're discussing different logistics, we're actually tying, like prepping the blankets together, because all those like fleece, all like the fleece blankets and stuff that we get, we have to pre-cut, we have to prep it all, so that takes a lot of effort on our parts as well.
So for writing the letters, we expected at first that just children would go there and draw some pictures, but we had people of all ages going and writing full-length notes, some children just drawing a picture of a flag or a heart or a flower, and we put it into every care package, and we're sure that it'll brighten the day of the people who receive it.
I think privilege is the only word that I can find for it. It truly does feel like a privilege to not only be able to participate in this, but to be able to take a leadership role and see all these people coming together to continue the work of that man that we all admire and respect his mission.
Good morning. My name is Rich Macheski, and I'm proud to be the superintendent of the Troy School District. I want to welcome you to our third annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. This is truly one of our favorite events of the year. Not only do we get to honor and remember a great man, but we also have the opportunity to come together with so many of you in service to his name.
Good morning. I'm Mark Miller, the city manager of the city of Troy. It's amazing to see such an outpouring of volunteers here today, but I'm not surprised. Troy is an incredible community that truly embraces Dr. King's message of giving back and helping others. I just want to give you a quick rundown of what will be happening this morning. First, we have a special presentation here in our auditorium about the life and legacy of Dr. King from some outstanding students. And here's some of Dr. King's own words. Then we will move to the main gym and the auxiliary gym for our service projects.
Right now, though, we want to recognize a few people who are here joining us today. We are pleased to welcome our new state representative and former Troy School District parent and inaugural supporter of this event, Padma Kupa. Padma's been a tremendous champion in the Troy School District for diversity and inclusion, and her students are very successful graduates of the Troy School District. So again, thank you, Padma, for being here. I also want to recognize our new state senator, Mallory McMorrow. Now, Mallory is visiting several other events this morning, and she does plan to be here for the service portion of our activities. And so we will certainly welcome her when she gets here.
We would also like to recognize our new U.S. Congresswoman, Haley Stevens, who we are very happy to have her here in support of this incredible day. She will also join us for our service projects.
From our Troy Board of Education, I'd like to recognize Nicole Wilson. Nicole there? I just want to make sure I get everybody. And Ms. Paula Fleming.
Also joining us from the city is Mayor Dane Slater, Mayor Pro Tem Ethan Baker, Councilman David Hamilton, Councilwoman Edna Abraham, Councilwoman Ellen Hoderick, and Councilman Dave Henderson.
We'll take a little more time about our service projects in just a moment, but now it's time to reflect on the reason we're all here, to honor Dr. King and his leadership in the civil rights movement here in the United States.
Here to tell us a little more about Dr. King's work are students Bouchette Morin Blanford, Ashton Stokes, Rohit Chakravarti, Fatina Elbies, and Kennedy Singleton.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is one of hope and inspiration. He was only on Earth for a short time, but in that time he did much to shape our history and change our world. Through his words and through his actions, Dr. King helped lead the civil rights movement. But it wasn't just his goal of equality and freedom that made his contributions important. Dr. King also showed the world that he could be accomplished with nonviolent civil disobedience when he organized the successful bus boycott to end segregation on public transportation in Montgomery, Alabama.
I look back over Montgomery and think of the fact that for all of these days, 381 days, more than 99 9/10% of the Negro citizens participated in the boycott. They confronted harassing experiences, they confronted physical violence, and never did they retaliate with a single act of physical violence.
Just because Dr. King and his followers didn't engage in physical violence didn't mean they didn't experience it. As the civil rights movement grew, so did the harsh and violent response to it. In 1963, Dr. King led sit-ins and organized a boycott of businesses in Birmingham, Alabama, which was then known as the most segregated city in America. King and his fellow protesters peacefully called attention to restaurants and libraries and offices that posted signs that said whites only. They sat at lunch counters where African Americans were not allowed. They marched to the county courthouse to register black voters. But these protests came with great personal repercussions.
Never in the history of this nation have so many people been arrested for the cause of freedom and human dignity. You know there are approximately 2,500 people in jail right now. Now let me say this. The thing that we are challenged to do is to keep this movement moving. There is power in unity and there's power in numbers. As long as we keep moving like we are moving, the power structure of Birmingham will have to give in.
But the outrageous scenes also began to galvanize the nation around Dr. King and the civil rights movement. After he was successful in desegregating the lunch counters and businesses in Birmingham, it was time for Dr. King to bring his campaign for civil rights to the nation's capital. Just a few months after he was jailed in Birmingham, Dr. King helped lead the March on Washington and gave one of his most famous speeches.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Dr. King's words didn't end racism, but they did have a significant impact. After the march, Congress passed the landmark Civil Rights Act, which made segregation and discrimination illegal in the United States. They also passed the Voting Rights Act, which eliminated barriers for Black people to vote. But there was tragedy as well. Later that year, an explosion killed 4 young girls at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham. And then came Bloody Sunday, where peaceful protesters tried to march across the bridge in Selma, Alabama, and were met with state troopers and a gang of local residents. Throughout it all, Dr. King had faith that freedom and equality would win, despite violence and death threats.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Dr. King was assassinated the day after he gave that speech, when a gunman shot him in Memphis, Tennessee. It was devastating news for the civil rights movement and for the nation as a whole. But even in his death, Dr. King taught us that the way to redemption was to speak out against injustice, to live with intention and no regret, and to love one another. Even today, his words still resonate. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
Excellent job, students. Dr. King said, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. Today is your chance to do small things that will have a great impact. Today, you may write a note or draw a picture that could raise the spirits of soldiers stationed in the Middle East. Over the last 2 years, we've heard from many of them that the letters they receive from our participants here get them through some very tough times because it lets them know that people back home care. You might also help pack a care package for a soldier or tie a blanket for a child in the hospital, a patient undergoing chemotherapy, or veterans recovering from surgery. Your blood donations might literally save a life.
In the words of Dr. King, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Thank you for opening your hearts for this important day. In just a moment, you'll have the opportunity to go into the main gym and the auxiliary gym to begin work on our service projects. There are tables set up to pack care packages, write letters, and tie fleece blankets, as well as the blood drive in the deck area.
You also see a table set up selling Swirls Cupcakes. This is a student-run organization that donates 100% of its proceeds to charities that give food to needy families. What you won't see this year are the little stickers that tell you which table to start with. Because we are a little more spread out and focusing on 2 main projects, you are welcome to start at whichever table you choose. There are balloons and signs designating each table. We just ask that you take your time and complete one project, then give that space to someone else waiting their turn. We only have the capacity to send 300 care packages, so families may want to work together on one care package so that everyone has the opportunity to pack one.
It will be crowded when you enter the main gym, so remember, we have several blanket tables set up in our auxiliary gym, and if there is a long line, please walk directly through the main gym and you will see the doors to the auxiliary gym. If you need any help, please see one of our superintendent student advisory board ambassadors in the yellow shirts.
Some of the service projects take longer than others, so we really want to encourage people to take their time and visit with your neighbors while you're working. There is no need to rush. We also ask that you please take a moment to write a letter or draw a picture that we will include in the care packages for the troops. We usually include many letters in each box, so when you are finished, one of our volunteers will take your letters cover to take to the care package area, Or if you choose, you can then pack a box and put yours in yourself.
As you sit down to tie a fleece blanket for our patients in the hospital, you will notice that the fleece has been pre-cut for you by our student volunteers. Please sit down at both sides of the table, and when your whole table is ready to go, simply tie the 2 pieces of fringe that are lined together at each corner first. Then make your way down the rest of the side, then rotate it, tie the top and bottoms together. When you're all done, raise your hand, and the student volunteers will take the blanket from you, and you can move on to the next service project.
The American Red Cross blood drive is on the west side upper balcony to the left. There are stairs at the back of the gym on the left side, and you will see signs and red balloons at that location. If you have an appointment, please go up at your designated time. If you do not, they do have room for a few walk-ins until 1:30.
One last thing. We want to sincerely thank our sponsors who made this day possible, especially our major sponsor, HAP, who also brought an army of 70 volunteers in orange shirts here today. We also want to thank our supporting sponsors, Alliance Mobile Health, Troy Foundation for Educational Excellence, Denny Strecker Karate, John Kennedy Mimic Insurance, Will Daniels Mimic Insurance, Troy Area Interfaith Group, Big Beaver United Methodist Church, Troy Community Coalition. And all 3 union groups representing school district employees, Troy Education Association, Troy Education Secretaries Association, and Troy Educational Support Personnel Association. This support is critical to our success here today, and if you choose, you'll have the chance to help as well. You will see the students walking around with large orange buckets. They are taking donations that will help pay the postage to mail care packages to our troop. Each care package, it costs almost $18 to send, which means we'll need more than $5,000 to mail 300 care packages overseas. There is no obligation to donate, but every little bit helps. Thank you.
Finally, I want to also thank the members of our Superintendent Student Advisory Board, or SSAB. These students we're referring to are in their yellow shirts. Some are here with us in the auditorium, and some are waiting for you in the gym. These students plan and organize this event every year and work very hard to make this day a success. We do ask for your patience throughout the day. Last year's event went very smoothly, but with any large crowd, there is bound to be a little chaos at first when you enter the gym. Be sure to sign the Day of Service banner hanging on the side wall of the gym. If you need help or are looking for something to do, ask any of our volunteers.
Thank you all again for coming, and follow the yellow shirts to the gym.